So today I want to offer lots of strategies. I'm going to do that in a few different ways. But I'm really going to focus on 5 case studies as we go today to really get into a detailed, in-depth look at some very specific strategies as well as very common symptoms of kiddos that might present in your classrooms who have experienced adverse childhood experiences.
ACEs is the Adverse Childhood Experience Study. It contains 10 questions, and each question is worth 1 point.
The more adverse experiences somebody indicates on the questionnaire is pretty indicative of the potential health risks and issues that folks will be dealing with throughout the lifespan. So the questions, real briefly, have to do with certain types of abuse, such as sexual abuse, physical abuse, or emotional abuse. Certainly also, we know that kiddos may not have direct experience, but have observed substance abuse, particularly in their homes. Maybe they have a parent or a caregiver who's mentally ill, or they also have folks or relatives, parents who have been incarcerated. We also know domestic violence and divorce are childhood experiences that most certainly can affect mental health and overall physical well-being as well. Kids who have higher scores on the ACEs tend to have a hard time focusing. These are the kids that are going to be easily distracted in the classroom. They also tend to have a lower threshold for toxic stress. So these are kids that you may see struggling with substance abuse issues, who are fighting, maybe bringing weapons to school. Certainly these kids are at risk of engaging in both suicidal behaviors and self-injurious behaviors. Kids with high ACE scores tend to also have difficulty making friends, keeping relationships, and again, the effects of adverse childhood experience can be long-lasting and can follow children throughout the lifespan, well into adulthood. You know, because of all the research that's coming out about childhood experience in relation to toxic stress, there's some pretty alarming studies that have been done that have revealed some pretty alarming trends.
A study last year out of Johns Hopkins revealed that at least 38% of children in every state actually had at least one adverse childhood experience, whereas 25% in 16 states had 2 or more adverse experiences that they indicated on their questionnaires. Indeed, there are groups of children that may be at a higher risk of developing higher scores and have more adverse childhood experience than others. However, the research is very telling that it doesn't matter. Adverse childhood experiences span racial, ethnic differences, and certainly socioeconomic differences as well.
Dr. Bill Dates, he is associated with the ACEs Connection, which is a wonderful resource. So acesconnection.com, where you can be linked into a community of folks all over the world, actually, who are making efforts to get the word out about toxic stress and also what to do about it in our communities, our neighborhoods, our schools, and our states, and even in our country. And if you get onto the website, you can get access to a multitude of resources that will help you raise awareness about how to use ACEs science, because we know that folks who are trauma-informed, who understand the impact of adverse childhood experience, tend to be able to put things in place to help mitigate it. You can learn strategies about building communication between individuals, schools, greater communities. I'm particularly interested in what the ACEs website has to offer in regards to building collaborative relationships with people in positions of power, such as superintendents in different school districts. Certainly, we need to all have a vision statement about how we are going to tackle the issues around adverse childhood experience for our youth. And we need to engage local, regional, and state leadership in regards to creating policies and implementing lasting change. It's a great resource. So today, you know, the things that I really want to cover in this training is the need to build trauma resiliency, because ACEs science also is revealing that resiliency absolutely can mitigate the effects and the impact of toxic stress. We want to be able to understand trauma and trauma impact because, again, communities, school districts who are trauma informed tend to be able to implement strategies much more quickly and more effectively, and can see kind of the long haul in regards to what it's going to take to mitigate these effects. We also are going to look at the trauma roadblocks as we talk about the 5 case studies that I'm going to introduce today. I'm going to talk about kiddos who experience 5 of the more common symptoms of toxic stress and what to do about that. And certainly throughout the presentation, I want to be able to offer lots of tools and strategies through it all. I'm also hoping that folks who are watching this get an opportunity to find your own creative voice in regards to how you can implement change, how maybe you can acknowledge what you're already doing, knowing that what you're doing is absolutely affecting toxic stress in positive ways.